Sheriff Todd Baxter, employees of the Myron County Sheriff's Office, District Attorney Sandra, Doorley, employees of the Myron County District Attorney's Office, Alex Renzi, New York State Supreme Court, Paul C. Messer, James Miller Jr. in Penfield County Court. My name is Chris Chichester. I've been in jail 6 times as an innocent man. Confirmation I'm an innocent man is a prosecutor's never talked in court. How am I in jail once when a prosecutor doesn't exercise a First Amendment right and talk in court? It's because you freaks and sociopaths at the district attorney's office hate human beings and you're obsessed with power. Demanding freedom of information law. Information. Right here. Today's Friday, August 4th. The first one is about the grand jury that you, director of the grand jury, Michelle Crowley, convened when I don't know it's convened. Why didn't you call me to the grand jury? And I've been on YouTube talking about this for 18 plus months. And it does not matter to you, Michelle Crowley, that the information I'm demanding in this first foil goodness and decency and justice and morality. And you, director of the grand jury, Michelle Crowley, are one of these freaks that's responsible for doing this to me. This is Michael Houlihan. This grand jury convenes because of this cop freak. $73,000 cop freak Michael Houlihan in the Monroe County Sheriff's Office and $85,000 cop freak Don Benedetto in the Monroe County Sheriff's Office walked onto the private property across from where I used to live at 26 Sandra Farm Drive in Penfield of my 70-year-old neighbor who lives alone with a dog, and they hid. So pay attention, Michelle Crowley, because this is what I would have said to you if you would have called me to the district attorney's office for an interview. This is what I would have said to the grand jury in the witness box if you would have called me to the grand jury. Benedetto and Houlihan, when I exit the back porch, which is a sliding glass door, and walk alongside of my residence, are waiting for me. These are psychopath cops, and this is how Michael Houlihan is going to become a perjurer. He doesn't know it yet. Todd Baxter knows it now, because I've told Todd Baxter that $73,000 Michael Houlihan's a perjurer, and Michael Houlihan's also involved with the death of a human being that I'm going to be back on here in the next 7 to 10 days to talk about once I finish acquiring information about this cop freak Michael Houlihan and Wanda Stein's hiding on private property. Is that legal? Deputy District Attorney Perry Douglas, I don't know, and you should know. Houlihan and Benedetto come running at me. Across Sanders Farm Drive, I can hear feet on concrete. I turn around and run away. I never stop running. My bike is next to my residence, which are right down 5 Mile Line Road. I grab a hammer next to my bike. I place my foot on the first 3 steps to run back across the porch I just exited 30 seconds earlier. Michael Houlihan grabs my arm. The hammer goes up like this. I run through the sliding glass door. I never stop running. I slam the screen door shut. As far as them telling me that I should stop in this 30-second period, I don't give a fuck about that. These are psychopath cops, and this happened in 30 seconds. I'm running back to my residence no matter who it is. I never stop running. Since I never stopped running, Director of Grand Jury Michelle Crowley, I can't swing a hammer at psychopath cop Michael Houlihan. And do you understand what I just said to you? And you don't. I'm going to repeat this. I place my foot on the first of 3 steps. The hammer I just grabbed goes up like this. I pull away, run through the sliding glass door. In order for me to swing a hammer at Michael Houlihan, he would have to reach me and detain me. Or I would have to make the decision to pivot on my right foot and turn around and swing it. And neither of those things happened, Director of the Grand Jury Michelle Crowley. So pay attention, you disgusting hack. It's impossible for me to swing a hammer at $73,000 perjurer Michael Houlihan. My forward motion carried me to the sliding glass door the entire time. Regina Harper, the Public Defender's Office, Public Defender Julie Sianka, and this is what every publicist, public defender should do for an innocent citizen. Play this body camera footage for me. Did you see this body camera footage, Director of the Grand Jury Michelle Crowley, before you convene the grand jury? And I'm confident the answer is no. And then you tell me if the answer is yes or no. Freedom of Information Law. This August 4th, Friday. Information about the grand jury convened by District Attorney Sandra Doorley to target Christopher Chichester as 1, the day, month, and year the grand jury is convened. 2, the assigned district attorney's office employed at the aggressive grand jury. 3, the witnesses that testified to the grand jury. 4, the vote of the grand jurors. 5, a transcript of the jury grand jury proceeding. I'm perhaps most interested in the last two, 4 and 5, the vote of the grand jurors. This is why you're corrupt, Michelle Crowley. More importantly, this is why your boss, District Attorney Sandra Doorley, is corrupt. If it's 24, am I indicted with a vote of 13 to 11? Is it a majority? Does it have to be unanimous? I don't know. You know, and you certainly know Perry Douglas. And you, Perry Douglas, who I believe is the de facto district attorney because of the radical decline of the health of Sandra Doorley, can't tell Michelle Crowley to comply with this fallout. I just contacted you with 1,000 words, Perry Douglas, telling you to disclose the names of my prosecutors, and you will refuse because you've been refusing since at least January 1, 2023 when I contacted you. Perry Douglas, this is insane. This night, I'm being stalked by cop freaks. And I'd like to know, and this again was no accountability for Todd Baxter. These are 2 loose cannon cops just decided to come over to my residence. Or did Todd Baxter order them to come over to my residence? Does Todd Baxter know that they're on the private property my 70-year-old neighbor lives alone with a dog or not? So, as far as where that happened, we walked through this parking lot, hacks, sociopaths, and freaks at the district attorney's office. My house is across, alongside this residence here. My house is right here, you can see it. This is where it happened. There's my residence right there. As 2 of my neighbors walked through the parking lot, I'm in Monroe County Jail for walking through this parking lot because of then $67,000 cop freak Shannon Meyer writing a warrant for my arrest for walking through this parking lot, but not anybody else. It's a crime to walk through this parking lot. Today, you should have Penfield High School students in handcuffs. How insane is that? Your entire existence is insane. So I'm trying to get on my life. I leave that residence one day. This is how easy it is to be in jail. $28,000 bald-headed widow, Paul C. Metz from Penfield Town Court, one freak wants to send me to jail. And the district attorney's office is not going to be notified because the district attorney's office is not present. I'll explain what happened here. When I leave my residence on this day, again, they're staring at my front door, these freaks and sociopaths at the sheriff's office. So, Richard J. Sieben, Todd Baxter, $75,000 freak and sociopath staring at my front door on this day. This is the last day I leave my residence. I have not been back there since. I'll never go back there. So I leave my residence. I walk down Penfield Road and get the bad road. I walk to the Penfield Public Library. Richard J. Sieben, who I had a previous confrontation with inside my residence. He knows me. And since I told Richard J. Sieben in my residence to fuck off, Richard J. Sieben is going to exact revenge upon me. And it's going to be violent revenge. I sit down at the computer after I get a number, like I've been doing for years. Because my ex-girlfriend is hired at the Penfield Public Library when we moved to Penfield, Laurel Island. I sit down at the computer, I'm there for 5 minutes. I see Richard J. Sieben and his psychopath partner walk in the door. I stand up. I'm at the last computer screen at the library, if you know what that library looks like. Sieben begins to run inside the library. He runs at me, extends his arm like this. Sieben hits me in the head with his arm as he's throwing himself at me, too. So it's the force of Sieben's arm hitting me in the head. And then I fell down and Sieben falls on top of me. And as I fell down, my head hit the ceramic tile. It's a violent attack upon me by Richard J. Sieben. And I don't know, I have $61.39 in my pocket. Perry Douglas and Mark Monahan, Public Defender Julie Sianka, Assistant Public Defender Mark Phillips. Is what I'm about to say next constitutional? You know. And I hesitate to say it if something is constitutional. But I believe it is. And that's why I used that word on a previous YouTube, unconstitutional. I'm in handcuffs now with this violent attack, this violent felony assault for which Richard J. Sieben should be in state prison. Take me out of the library, frog march me out, down the hall, and there's Paul C. Messon waiting for me. I'm in this little room, and then I'm told Public Defender Julie Sianka, by one of your employees who I have not met, because it's not Regina Harper, it's not Mark Phillips. I'm your public defender. My public defender knows I'm supposed to be in Penfield Court, but I don't. Do you know what I'm talking about, Public Defender Julie Sianka? And answer me. And I know you will refuse, and I want to contact the members of the Monroe County Legislature. I'll tell them that your public defender is there waiting for me. Well, she's just some Soviet-style bureaucratic functionary. She's not there to defend me at all. She's there just to say that I had counsel. That's why. So I tell her to get the hell away from me, was my exact words. And there's no one there from the district attorney's office as I'm placed in front of Paul C. Metzler in the Soviet Union show trial. And she begins to read this statement to me. And I talked over her the whole time. My head is pounding, my ears are ringing from the force of Richard J. Seaman attacking me and slamming his arm at the side of my head. I kept saying to her, I haven't committed a crime. I haven't committed a crime. And she talked over me. And then I'm driven to Livingston County Jail in Geneseo. I don't believe this is constitutional. To be violently attacked, my public defender is there when I don't know I have a public defender. I don't know I'm supposed to be in court. And most importantly, there's not an assistant district attorney in Penfield Town Court to make an argument I committed a crime before Paul C. Metzler in Penfield Town Court. Freedom of Information Law. The issuance of a new check to Christopher Chichester, the address below for expired check in the amount of $61.39 from the County of Monroe Office of Sheriff and May Fund account. That's a dollar amount in the pocket of Chichester when he's violently attacked the Penfield Public Library by $75,000, $94 Richard J. Seaman, the Monroe County Sheriff's Office. You have the criminal complaint in the district attorney's office for this freak. This freak should have been fired immediately. I've been talking about him at least for 12 plus months, but in January, Todd Baxter received a document from me that said violence Richard J. Seaman that he has signed for since January, registered mail return receipt, UPS, and Federal Express. And it does not matter to Todd Baxter that Monroe County Sheriff Office employees are violent criminals and attacking innocent citizens. So I have three names. Who's the prosecutor assigned to that appearance before Paul C. Metzler? I prosecuted with John P. Metzler Jr. in Penfield Town Court, Paul C. Metzler in Penfield Town Court, and Alex Renzi in Penfield Town Court. And who elevated me to Alex Renzi to prosecute assigned to that appearance? I would be in Albany, New York right now, where I lived in the city for 5 years, in Albany County for 10 years, in a suburb of Gilglen, if it wasn't for that prosecutor, that freak, who forced me into Alex Renzi. Freedom of Information Law. The documentation for the case of Christopher Chichester in Penfield Town Court for John P. Metzler Jr. What is the name of the prosecutor, Sandra Doorley? This is the payroll for the district attorney's office. The freak is right here. What's the name of the freak? Perry Douglas and Mark Monahan and Michelle Crowley. Freedom of Information Law. Documentation for the case of Christopher Chichester in Penfield Town Court for Paul C. Metzler. What's the name of the prosecutor, Sandra Doorley? The freak is right here. What's the name of the freak? Perry Douglas, Mark Monahan, and Michelle Crowley. Freedom of Information Law. Documentation for the case of Christopher Chichester, Alex Renzi, in the New York State Supreme Court. What is the name of the prosecutor, Sandra Doorley? The freak is right here. What's the name of the freak? Perry Douglas, Mark Monahan, and Michelle Crowley. Is it Nancy Sabetta at 64-304? Is it Mark McCarthy II at 95-527? Is it Monica O'Brien at 117-06? Is it Meredith Smith at 110-742? Is it Raymond Benitez at 131-416? Is it Michael Harrigan at 135-359? Is it Elizabeth Buckley, 131-416? You, Elizabeth Buckley, the director of the local courts. The same information I had demanded repeatedly from Kyle Steinbach, who I copied on his email, is now at a private law firm. And he refused over and over and over. And this is the 1984 of your district attorney's office, where you need to read The Elements of Style by E.B. White and William Strunk. Because Kyle Steinbach doesn't understand the English language, and neither do you, Elizabeth Buckley. I'll prove it right now. What are the names of my prosecutors, Elizabeth Buckley? You're the director of the local courts. When I said to Kyle Steinbach on email, tell me the names of my prosecutors, he emails me back, and the language on the emails, we don't discuss open cases. I'm looking at the 1984 of this total indifference to citizens of Monroe County by Kyle Steinbach. I email him back and say, I'm out of jail. I've been out of jail. What are the names of my prosecutors? I didn't hear anything from him. You're the director of the local courts, Elizabeth Buckley. This is how you send the names of my prosecutors to me, who should be on his payroll if they haven't been fired or if they haven't left voluntarily. Is there any way you can separate from employment? But the freaks are on here, Elizabeth Buckley, and tell me the names of the freaks. charges4@gmail.com. What I'm going to get at charges4@gmail.com is documentation forcing me into a court where you freaks, sociopaths, district attorney's office don't have to talk for me to be remanded to jail. Or you can contact me at 620 Park Avenue, PMB number 361, Rochester, New York, 14604. What I'm going to get at that address is documentation forcing me into court where you freaks and sociopaths at the district attorney's office don't have to talk for me to be delivered to jail. So, who sent me in Dallas, Renzi? Tell me who it is. The reason why I'm demanding those names is that the Appellate Division of State Supreme Court is where an attorney is disbarred. I will seek disbarment for every single one of these attorneys. I cannot pursue that. I cannot pursue justice. If you're refusing to disclose the name of a taxpayer, subsidized public employee in a courtroom, and you're convicting me in total silence. So here on this July 28th, perjury on Sheriff Dodd, Baxter, District Attorney Sandra, Doorley, and Alex Renzi. I'm telling you, again, Michael Hulan's perjurer. Where it says, on this July 28th, Sheriff Todd Baxter, 130 South Plymouth Avenue, Rochester, New York, Sandra, Doorley, 47 South Fitzhugh Street, Rochester, New York. Comply with the attached Freedom of Information Law documentation PDF dated July 28, 2023. Mail the names of my prosecutors, silence the address listed below my name. You will continue to refuse to disclose the names of my prosecutors, silence the District Attorney's Office because you hate the human condition. 73312 Michael C. Hulan, the Monmouth County Sheriff's Office, lied under oath in a grand jury convened by District Attorney Doorley. The criminal complaint for perjury is attached to PDF. This freak will not be fired. This freak will not be arrested. The freak will not be prosecuted because you two freaks are defined by corruption. A prosecutor never talked to court for my appearances. I've been doing the jail 6 times. I have prosecuted silence before. Penfield Court Judge John P. Metzer Jr., Penfield Court Judge Paul C. Metzer, New York State Supreme Court Judge Alex Renzi. And then here I am talking to you where it's perjury, silence, and violence and warped about Baxter, Doorley, and Renzi, who forced me into Alex Renzi. And then 4 criminal complaints that you have. I sent the criminal complaints to your office, registered mail, return receipt, they're there. Mail the names on process, silence, and Park Avenue below my name. You will refuse. I've been convicted on paper 6 times. 6 times a piece of paper deposits me in jail as an innocent man. I've been prosecuted in total silence. I tell you to do it's the obvious, but you don't know what the obvious is, and that's to resign. So on this July 24th, again, here's all your emails up here, Psychopaths Incorporated, the Sheriff's Office, and District Attorney's Office. Mail the names of my prosecutors, silence the address below Rochester, New York. You refuse. So I tell you that on July 24th. This says rejection here. Rejection, Peridelta, Mark Monahan. Unconstitutional. So what I just said about unconstitutional is on there. Here are the criminal complaints that I'm going to read. These criminal complaints, each one, so I'll have to show it again, has been notarized by Christopher M. Price, Dover Republic, State of New York. Christopher M. Price is at the Monroe branch of the Rochester Public Library on Monroe Avenue. So the language for these 4 here is written in red. It's right here. Attached to 4 criminal complaints, July 22nd. This is in your office. That Richard J. Seaton, the Monroe County Sheriff's Office, walked into Penfield Public Library in Penfield, New York, ran into Christopher Chichester, slammed his arm at the head of Chichester, causing him to fall backwards and hit his head on the surrounding tile floor. 2. Nayraj and Layla Kumar Shah, 2033 Penfield Road, Penfield, New York, 14526. False reported an incident of Christopher Chichester, formerly 26 Sanders Farm Drive, is walking through the parking lot next to his residence. Antonio Spano, Fairport, New York, locked the front and back doors of the residence, 26 Sanders Farm Drive, Penfield, New York, without a court order. Laura Riley, Webster, New York, transported the personal belongings of Christopher Chichester from 26 Sanders Farm Drive, Penfield, New York, to storage locker in Webster, New York, without a court order. These are crimes. Each individual will not be arrested or prosecuted. There is a 1-day in jail served for each crime to destroy my life, but you are incapable of identifying crime. You concoct crimes for innocent citizens. You hate the human condition. They should all be arrested. As far as the identities of my prosecutors, silence. So that's July 22nd. This is July 16th on what I called unconstitutional here. Comply with the 3 attached PDF Freedom of Information Law documents, July 16th, 2023. Mail the names of my prosecutors, silence to my address below, District Attorney Doorley. You will continue to refuse to disclose the names of my prosecutors, silence. You freeze associates, the district attorney's office will continue to convict innocent citizens in Palmertown Court for Paul $28,000, Paul C. Matson $34,000, James Conley Jr. So this is false reporting innocence. It's easy and simple and basic as it gets. Do you fail to understand? And you do fail to understand because you hate human beings. You do not know that you're corrupt. I have to tell you, you're corrupt. And you still won't know you're corrupt. So, I want to get back to who I am. I'm just going to read this again. This is an insane cop. At 73,312 Michael C. Houlihan, the Monroe County Sheriff's Office, walked onto private property across from residence 26 Sandra Farm Drive, Bedford, New York, Christopher Chichester. That Houlihan ran at Chichester approximately 1 a.m. with $85,000 down better than the Sheriff's Office. That Chichester ran away from Houlihan and betted that at one of the identities. That Chichester grabbed a hammer alongside his residence next to his bike to fix the bike's tire. That as Chichester placed his foot on the first 3 steps of the back porch, Houlihan grabbed his arm, the hammer in Chichester's hand is forced upward. Chichester ran across the back porch through the sliding glass doors. Chichester never stopped running. It's possible when the hammer 73312 Michael Houlihan. He's evil. That's an evil cop. And when I say that I sent this to you, this is January 26th, right here. This has arrived over and over and over. What I just read, I explained here on perjurer. I explained violence from Richard J. Seidman, rejection, accountability, fanaticism. Every single time here on this January 26th, I have the foil. I'm telling you to disclose the names of my prosecutors. And the number of times you complied is 0 because you're corrupt. Again, this is the UPS store. I will repeat things here. Corruption requires repetition. UPS store, 620 Park Avenue, PMB number 361, Rochester, New York, 14607. So send that to me. I don't have any clothes because of you, Todd, Baxter, Sandra, Doorley, Paula Metzler, and Alex Renzi. I don't have any clothes. And I have to go to the Goodwill to get clothes. Every single one of these here. I'm at the Goodwill. I'm thinking about you, Todd Baxter, and you, Sandra Doorley, and you, Alex Renzi, and you, Paul C. Metzler, and you, Perry Duckles, and you, Mark Monahan, and you, violent freak Richard J. Seidman, and you, perjurer Michael Houlihan, when I'm at the Goodwill. So, this is on August 3rd, about the grand jury. Just got that too. I'm going to be on here relentlessly about you freaks and sociopaths, demanding information from you. And you freaks and sociopaths are going to continue to refuse to disclose information to me. It's right here about the grand jury. It's right here about my prosecutor's silence. I don't know. As far as my prosecutor's silence, this is corruption. Here, as you can see on this July 13th, right here, this is the 5'2" 3-piece suit boy. This is my handwriting. This is Paul C. Metzler. This is a month ago. I'm telling you to disclose the names of my prosecutors of silence. Now, I will use words to inflame you. What a Matrix is, you should, because it's a Hollywood franchise. Matrix is, to me, an alternate reality where the truth is not present. Different ways to define a matrix. That's how I think about it. The truth is nowhere to be found. And so on this July 10th, I call this Matrix. I, Sheriff Todd, Baxter, District Attorney Sandra Doorley, and Alex Renzi. This is why you're corrupt. At the District Attorney's Office of Sandra Doorley. Apply with the 26 Freedom of Information Law documents attached to PDF dated July 10th, 2023. You sociopaths. This information includes mailing names of my prosecutor's silence address at 620 Park Avenue listed below my name. You refuse because you're drenched in fanaticism, corruption, hatred. I prosecute silence before Palmertown Court Judge John P. Metzler Jr., Palmertown Court Judge Paul C. Metzler, New York State Supreme Court Judge Alex Renzi. These 3 corrupt judges delivered me to Monroe County Jail, Livingston County Jail, and a prosecutor talk in court. There was not one word, one sound, one syllable for prosecutors besides my court appearances ever. Because a prosecutor can't make an argument in open court that I committed a crime. Disclose the names of my prosecutors of silence. District Attorney Doorley, you will continue to refuse to disclose each name. How is a citizen in jail when a prosecutor doesn't talk in court? How is a citizen in jail when a prosecutor doesn't talk in court 6 times? That's insane because you're insane. You will each refuse to disclose the information I demand in any form because you're divorced from morality, decency, and the law. The law is meaningless words on paper. The law is a joke to you. Right there. So I print this out here, either at the library or a printing business I go to. And I go to register mail, return receipt, UPS or FedEx, and I send it to you. This arrived. This arrived over and over and over in the last month. Majors. So on that July 10th, I told you to comply with the law is what I told you to do. And since you have contempt for the law and you despise human beings, you refuse to disclose this information to me. So this is disclosure here, this is corruption here, and this is why you Perry Douglas should be fired. I think I have your salary wrong here. If there's something that's incorrect that I do on here state, I'll always do my best to correct it. I think you're paid now $144,000. As a matter of fact, I'll just look at the payroll here because I think the payroll may have changed. Yes, you are. So this is $144,721. Citizen of the United States of America, you should never know off the top of his head salaries of the district attorney's office, which I do. So right here is incorrect because you are paid $144, it said $113. July 10th. So up here, and Julie Siak is on it. This is why you need to be removed as a public defender. You know this information that I'm demanding from the district attorney's office. And you're in fear of the district attorney's office, public defender Julie Siak, and this is why you're refusing. So, July 10th, Perry Douglas, first assistant district attorney, Monmouth County District Attorney's Office, 47 South 5th Street, Rochester, 14604. Apply with the attached for the informational documents, mail the names of my prosecutor's office, the address below. How is any citizen in jail when a prosecutor doesn't talk in court? How is any citizen in jail 6 times a prosecutor doesn't talk in court? That's called fanaticism, corruption, and hatred. Disclosure. 4113-918 Perry Douglas District Attorney's Office, perjurer 73312 Michael Wulan, YouTube Matrix on Sheriff Todd Baxter. I'm going to repeat this for you. How is any citizen in jail 6 times a prosecutor doesn't talk in court? If I was asked by my 2nd grade teacher at Wing Street Elementary School in Suffolk County on Long Island, Mrs. Gail Dayer, Chris, can a person go to jail when the prosecutor in a courtroom doesn't talk? I think at 7 years old, I would have had the faculties to answer Mrs. Gail Dayer in 1972, no. Your answer at that revolting shack district attorney's office is yes. This is obscene, so I'm trying to inflame you. You're already inflamed. July 6th. Where is my Chromebook? Paul C. Messer and Lee LaRoque, this $97,000 fat girl at the sheriff's office is 40 plus pounds overweight, decide to get in my residence. There's no probable cause to be in my residence. And when I say this to the Department of Justice employees, when I contact, I believe her name is Kristen Smith, who's the Assistant Attorney General, Department of Justice for Civil Rights. When I contact Ms. Smith, I'm going to tell her about this. How many of you freaks at the sheriff's office, $97,000 fat girl, Lee LaRoque, were in my sheriff's office? They were in my residence from the sheriff's office. Where's my Chromebook now? July 6th. Todd Baxter, Sheriff, 130 South Plymouth Avenue, Rochester, 14604. Sandra, Doorley, District Attorney, 47 South 5th Street, Rochester, 14604. Tell you 40 plus pounds overweight, $97,000 fellow psychopath that is Lee LaRoque to mail my Acer Chromebook to the address list and below my name, Sheriff Baxter. What you failed to understand about what I told you to do, you party switching Benito Mussolini train wreck. This is an illegal search and seizure with a ridiculous document typed in Penfield Court by $28,000 hack and fossil Paul C. Metzler. There's no probable cause to confiscate my Acer Chromebook from my former residence, 26 cents from driving Penfield or anything. Tell you 113-918-94, First Assistant District Attorney Perry Douglas to mail the names I process files to that same address, you pathetic party switching Mike Knifon, Cologne District Attorney Sandra Doorley. He will refuse. You will continue to refuse to disclose the names of prosecutors, silence, and taxpayer finance public proceeding as courtroom because you're corrupt, District Attorney Sandra Doorley. I prosecuted silence before Penfield Court John P. Lorenzo, Penfield Court Judge John P. Lorenzo Jr., Penfield Court Judge Paul C. Metzer, New York State Supreme Court Judge Alex Renzi, comply with the 22 Freedom of Information Law documents attached in PDF dated July 6, 2023. You received this 22-page foil via registered mail return receipt. And then I'm on here with obscene extremism and repudiation every single time on YouTube and rejection. And I tell you here, again, I'm trying to inflame you freaks. Hell exists for you two freaks. Resign. I'm not just saying things to engage in hyperbole. I believe in hell. I believe hell exists. And I believe you, District Attorney Sandra Doorley, and you, Sheriff Todd Baxter, will be in it. This is why I need to be removed as public defender, Julie Young. This is April 2nd. This is how long ago? April, May, June, July. 4 months ago. I tell you right here, public defender Julie Sianka, where you have this information. Mail the names of my prosecutors, silence the address listed below in Rochester, New York. Read the 10 attached PDF documents, resign. And you're on here, too, Perry Douglas. You're on here, Mark Monahan. You're on here, Michelle Crowley. And this has arrived at the District Attorney's office, this exact document, over and over and over. It hasn't arrived at the public defender's office because public defender Julie Sianka and $87,000 Mark Phillips, assistant public defender, are returning my mail. And that's insane. So, freaks, on February 26th. Mail the names of my prosecutors signed to my court appearance below at 620 Park Avenue, Rochester, New York. Read the attached for the informational documents that was sent to the United States Attorney for West District, New York, Trinity Ross, resign. This is in the office of Miss Ross, who's in Buffalo. I believe she has an office in Rochester. And I have not contacted her yet directly. I will contact the United States Attorney for West District, Miss Ross. Everything I'm showing you here, I'm going to show her, like this right here, where I go with the simple word. I will go with the non-inflammatory word, which is identification. And I'm telling you, on February 22nd, 2023, you received Federal Express, the attached PDF documentation, mail the names of my prosecutors, the address below 620 Park Avenue, Rochester, New York, resign. Sandra Doorley, look right at this, look right at the foil on this February 24th, and refuse because she's corrupt. So. And then again, I tell you again, on this January 22nd, it's in the sheriff's office, most importantly. Perjurer 73312 Michael C. Woolan. Violence, Sheriff Todd Baxter 75904 Richard Seaman. Todd Baxter looks at this on January 22nd. It's totally irrelevant to this Benito Mussolini skinhead that I'm telling him Michael Woolan lied under oath. It's totally irrelevant to Todd Baxter. I'm telling him that Richard J. Seaman violently attacked me at the Penfield Public Library. So. Now, here is my dog. Coming to my residence to man my dog. I'm not going to dwell on this because it really is exhausting. That's why people hate the police. One phone call from these freaks I just wrote a coroner complaining about, and they were shot, later from one shot, and there you are, coming to my residence. False reporting incident, Nayraj, landed from one shot. It's not a crime to walk to that parking lot. So, Utah Baxter, take the pictures of the employees underwater. Every single one of these is Monroe County Sheriff Office employee. This is why you're a joke. Driving over to my residence here in Penfield. There you are, driving over. There's no reason for him to be out there. This is the floor on this loft I lived in next to the transit center. Every single one of these is freedom of information law. Every single one of these you refuse to comply. There could be 500, 700,000. I don't know how many's in these piles. And these are right up here, the green cards that come back to me from the mail. I'm telling you to disclose the names of my prosecutors of silence from me. I've held up those green cards on a previous YouTube, and every single time I'm pointing to your names and I'm telling you to disclose this information to me. I believe out-of-state travel can remove you both from office. And what is this Monroe County Sheriff Office employee Ryan Fisher doing in Atlanta, Georgia? Monroe County Deputy K-9 ready to protect and serve at the Super Bowl. That's a disgrace that your employee is right here when violence is making it impossible to live in Rochester, New York, and Monroe County. Here's your employee with his dog right there. It's a little dark, but that's the Mercedes-Benz logo for the stadium in Atlanta, Georgia. Super Bowl is played. Here's Monroe County Sheriff Office employee Ryan Fisher with his dog in Stars and Bars, Georgia. As we get ready to watch Super Bowl, we're grateful to men and women scientific fans and players safe in Atlanta, including emphasis on Deputy Ryan Fisher and K9 Lola. Deputy Fisher sent this photo from Atlanta. Thank you for your service. That means Monroe County Sheriff Office employee Ryan Fisher, who's in Atlanta, Georgia, has his camera in his hand when there are violent crimes happening at this moment or in the process about to be committed. And he walks up to someone outside Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia. And Monroe County Sheriff Office employee Ryan Fisher says, "Take my picture." $155,000 Corey Brown and $163,000 Michael Fowler in Saratoga. I believe you sent me information about that. But why were they there? That I don't know. I think the cost of that trip was $1,000. The cost of that trip should have been zero, Todd Baxter. That's one of the few times where you comply with the FOIL. You just pick and choose what you're going to decide to comply with, and that's a disgrace. So on this FOIL, this is December 28th. I'll just open it up if I don't go to the same one. I'm going to read the one that I open it up to. Let's see. Freedom of Information Law. Do you, District Attorney Sandra Doyle, hire employees at the Monroe County District Attorney's Office based on race or gender? You're a Democrat, so you have to grovel to your Democratic Party base. You would never be asked this question by this ridiculous media that doesn't cover it. You're not covered by what's left of the Democratic Chronicle, WROC, WHEC, WHAM. They act like you're not even around. What's the answer? The answer from you, District Attorney Sandra Doyle. Do you, District Attorney Sandra Doyle, hire employees at the Monroe County District Attorney's Office based on race or gender? Has to be yes, because you're a party-switching Democrat. Democrats are obsessed about race and gender. So I'll just read one more here. The number of employees at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office, Todd Baxter, arrested for driving while intoxicated. What's the answer, Todd Baxter? Was Michael Houlihan, when he was involved in the death of that human being, given a field sobriety test by the police that showed up? Did you, Todd Baxter, when Michael Houlihan was driving and involved in the death of a human being, ask Michael Houlihan if he was drinking that night, if he consumed alcohol, if he was behind the wheel higher than the legal limit, 0.08? What's the answer, Sheriff Todd Baxter, about your employee, $73,000 cop-freak perjurer, Michael Houlihan, involved in the death of a human being? And do you know if he was drinking and driving? And did you ask him if he was drinking and driving? This is why you're corrupt. You'll never know why you're corrupt. So, Freedom of Information Law has been communicated to you. Fire and arrest Michael Houlihan, because here's the criminal complaint right here. Lied under oath. So, camera right here. It's not the high resolution color photo. I've demanded this from you over and over. That's it right there. I've been on this over and over. This is 2025 Penfield Road, where Elliot Roth is the president of a business called Consumer Insights. When I was calling this camera accurately a surveillance device, you freaks and sociopaths at the sheriff's office were calling Renzi Barrett, the Monroe County Office of Mental Health, to come to my residence to humiliate me. The public defender sent me the images. Is this private technology honest business, Consumer Insights, where Elliot Roth is the president? Or did you expend taxpayer dollars and buy it and affix it for me, Sheriff Todd Baxter? You refuse to answer because you're corrupt. My name is Christopher Chichester. I have been in jail 6 times. 6 times the prosecutor's not talked in court. I have been an innocent man my whole life.